Blessings and greetings to everyone. Today I just want to talk to you on the idea or the concept of the local economic growth. What we have in this country is a situation where, regardless of which political party is in power, they tend to gloat a lot about economic growth. But for the most part, the economic growth, it is not something that is experienced or felt across the board. In my estimation as a street person who's not an economist, whatever economic growth that they predicting or they say that they experiencing in the land is basically economic growth that is affecting or benefiting probably maybe 60% of the people. There is a huge segment of the population that is not benefiting from the economic activity and the economic growth of the country. And so sometimes you listen to the budget debate, or even when politicians speak on political platforms and you hear they gloat, they boast of economic growth of 0.5%, 2%, 3%, and things like that. Not realizing, or probably they do not even care, that these indices of economic growth that they're speaking about, it is something that is experienced by only a certain percentage of the populace. As I said before, there are certain people who do not benefit from economic development in the country. Now, one thing that I believe that the political electorate understand, but they are not willing to say or admit. But the fact is that in this economy, there is a part of the economy which I call the hidden economy, in which the government has no part involved, no part or no claim to the success of some people. Because in some areas, in some rural communities, the economic growth or the economic strength or economic benefits that people experience in some areas is basically as a result of the marijuana trade. Yes, had it not been for the trade of marijuana, planting marijuana and selling it, exporting it or whatever, some of these people or some of the businesses in the rural community would not thrive. And so the marijuana trade is contributing significantly to the economic situation or the economic progress of some communities. Now, the other thing again that is of tremendous benefit to the economy is the those barrels of food and goods that people receive from North America, from Canada and the United States, especially around Christmas time. So these people get these barrels from their family members around Christmas time. And sometimes they have a supply of food for sometimes 3 months or maybe 4 months. And these are the things that really help some people. These are the things that really sustain them. Also, from these people, those people who live overseas, especially in places like Canada, England, America, they send remittances, monies to their family members. And so these monies are used to help people survive. There are some people who get money every month from these countries. And this is how a lot of people are able to sustain themselves. This is how a lot of people are able to thrive. Now, the other thing is that these very people who live and work overseas in those developed countries, and even in places that are nearby, like Martinique and other places, there are people who actually go to these places to work. They invariably will one day build a house in the country. And so the construction of these homes in the rural communities or other places is another means of pushing the economy. So when you really look at it, all the boasting and the gloating that you hear from politicians, there is no reason sometimes for that, because they're trying to pat themselves on the back, trying to convince themselves that somehow they are doing a good job in the country. But had it not been for these local people, for St. Lucians who were overseas working and sending money, some people would literally be starving. Had it not been for some of the local people who were planting marijuana to sell, some of these families would not be able to survive. So when you really look at it, there is a local economy, especially in the rural areas, that is sustaining these people in these areas. And so when you hear that the prime minister and those people go on the national television and on platforms and gloat and boast about how well the economy is doing, this thing, this economy that they talk about, is the economy that is benefiting a certain percentage of the populace. But there are people that are never touched and never affected, or people who never benefit from the economic development and the economic programs that they have. Look at, in a situation where government upon government come and there's never any factory or any sustainable really business that really developed to employ a few hundred people. So when you look at it, the role of government, one of the roles of government is to encourage businesses and to stimulate the economy. But when you really look at it, there is very little stimulation of the economy by means of the action or deliberate action of government officials. And again, in closing, let me reiterate that there is a part of the local economy which I call the hidden economy. And the people who are actually part of that hidden economy do not benefit from the national economy. And the only thing that sustains them is the remittances from families and relatives in the United States, Canada, England, and those places, and from these food barriers that come around Christmas time, and those people who sell weed. And the money from those places are what is used to sustain the small shops in the area, to send children to school, and to do things like that. So all this gloating that these government people do and make it look like they're really doing something, these people are, it is just like a machine that is just moving, and it is almost like nobody is really needed, really, because there is nothing really innovative for the most part that none of these governments from either of these parties are doing to stimulate the economy. And had it not been again for this marijuana sales and the people who send money overseas for the people would have been dying of starvation in this place. So they need to stop that gloating about economic growth and all of that. That thing makes no sense. That is just something on paper, but in reality, these things do not benefit the people. Keep the fire burning. Take care of yourselves.